Over in the pages of recent Marvel Comics titles, it's been thrilling to watch Tony Stark navigate behind the scenes as the anti mutant industrialist known as feilong recently seized control of his Stark Unlimited company. Tony continually finds himself running into the character of Emma Frost. Frost has recently disguised herself as Hazel Kendall as a direct result of the anti mutant group known as Orchis' attack on the X-Men's Hellfire Gala. My name is Arako Braddock, and today, let's go ahead and explore if Marvel is able to tell a natural story honoring both characters in the pages of Invincible Iron Man 10 featuring the wedding of Tony Stark and Emma Frost. You are cordially invited to the wedding of Anthony Edward Stark and Emma Grace Frost. Come join the lucky couple as they exchange vows. Attire is Hellfire formal, Orchis raid to follow, plus some exclusive wedding extras. Invincible Iron Man issue 10 is written by Gerry Duggan, featuring art from Juan Frigeri, colors by Bryan Valenza, letters from VC's Joe Caramagna, and we have a cover for the issue coming in from the phenomenal Lucas Werneck. Here's a look at the second half of the cover, connecting with X-Men and Iron Man, teasing the wedding for both Tony and Emma. Without further ado here, I want to thank Adventures in Poor Taste and take a look at some of the phenomenal artwork coming in over from Juan Frigeri. Over in this issue, I really found that artist Juan Frigeri was able to lend so much characterization from some of the body language of these individuals. I really like how Kingpin is lingering large over some of the characters of Hazel and Tony over on this first panel in the issue. Invincible Iron Man 10 picks up in a precarious position over for Rhodey, as Rhodey currently finds himself in prison and almost beaten to death by a scenario that is seemingly manufactured over by the individuals at Orchis. Watching Tony desperately try and save his friend from certain death is thrilling, and seeing the way that Rhodey is able to come out of this situation with a little help from an unexpected character is absolutely thrilling across this comic book issue. I really think that author Gerry Duggan has done an exceptional job folding in all these antagonists over in the relationship between Tony and Emma selectively throughout the course of this comic book. Thanks to some of the previous issues, I feel like the tension over between feilong, Emma, and Tony is absolutely skyrocketed here. In fact, the status quo of the wedding is born in direct result to the X-Men trying to keep their cover over from feilong. I really appreciated the way that Gerry Duggan wrote Emma Frost, really having Tony kind of hold her back to stop her from doing something that could potentially blow the cover that Tony and Emma have been working so hard to preserve across countless issues of this status quo here. Artist Juan Frigeri does a phenomenal job over with character expressions across some of these pages too. I particularly love this page we have up on the screen showcasing Hazel interacting over with feilong in this really ominous and sinister way here. The way that feilong is harboring a smile over with Emma's intense gaze is, I think, really fascinating. I also really like the way that Frigeri designed this page that we have on the screen here, with a larger panel on the left side and a couple smaller reaction shots over on the right side as well. I think this page that we have up on the screen is another really fantastic use of negative space from Frigeri. Watching Hazel really knee Tony in some of his nether regions is absolutely thrilling to watch, especially with the background blurred out in such a way over from the creative team. Really thought it was interesting to see how some of these moments were captured over on the page, and with how Frigeri is able to display movement in some of these select sequences. I always love how Gerry Duggan pays close attention to the characterization of his individual comic book heroes, and also found that in some of the relationship between Emma and Tony, that these two have a hard time keeping some of their tense emotions at bay here. It really feels like these two are fostering a relationship even though they're both trying to deny it amid some of the really harrowing status quo changes in the Fall of X story. Getting the chance to see Emma and Tony really kind of capture Fei Long telekinetically and head deeper into his mind is wonderful and a great impetus for why this marriage was so necessary here in the first place. I also really appreciated how some of these elements tied back into those moments over with Tony and his father over in the comic book. Also, I think one of the aspects of Fall of X that is just so important to Tony as an individual is the fact that Orchis is running around co opting his technology with the Stark Sentinels. This issue is really dedicated to exploring and trying to stop some of that technology from being utilized, even going as far as to say that Fei Long is more important alive than dead in order to make sure that this technology can be stopped once and for all over in the issue. With so much subtext going on in the background of this issue, I was actually really immersed in the wedding between these two individuals and really thought that there were so many sweet moments in the tale too. I love seeing Hazel and Tony wander into Las Vegas towards the end of this installment and just really think that all the scenarios that Gerry Duggan is trying to spin in the upcoming issues of Iron Man is really going to lead towards some really great characterization for both of these comic book characters. Also, I think the fact that the Hellfire Club is really being established over in the background of this series has lent an absolutely fascinating tone to this Iron Man comic book, implementing some dark X-Men undertones there as well. Some of the final moments over with Fei Long really are going to have some big implications over in future comic book series, and I'm just really impressed with how Gerry Duggan was able to write some of the dialogue between these two characters who are working so hard to bury their emotions over on the comic book page. So at the end of the day here, I think Invincible Iron Man 10 was a really honest and heartfelt issue, really depicting the wedding of Tony and Emma with a lot of love. I really appreciate the fact that these two characters are stripped of so many of their resources and think that Gerry Duggan has woven a unique tone across both X-Men and Iron Man that sort of play off each other. I also love how the greater X-Men comics are also influenced by this storyline. You can even peel back some of the layers of the issue of Miss Marvel this week and find some connective tissue between these comics as well. I want to know from you, did you enjoy this wedding between Emma and Tony? Did you think this was a forced plot point or a heartfelt way for these two individuals to strike back against Orchis? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on Invincible Iron Man 10. And we'll be back to see where these two individuals are headed next over in the Marvel Universe. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.